I received a letter from a viewer and I'd like to address it today. Dear Deborah, I had a question. Talking to other RSI patients, something we think about is financial stability. I recently started working as a tour guide, which I was very grateful to find because I wasn't sure how I would do most jobs. But it's a meager salary and not enough to save or do anything besides get by on. So things like saving for retirement and having kids present huge financial obstacles that are scary. I was wondering if you ever came across any sort of financial advice for people with RSI. Sincerely, Johnny B.
Click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll know when new videos are posted.
Dear Johnny, first of all, congratulations on getting the job as a tour guide. That shows a really great way of thinking outside the box and creativity on your part, and I applaud you for doing that. I wish I had an easy answer for you, but I don't. But I think it's important to address this issue, and in a future episode, I will talk about some resources that might be useful to you. But I don't want to wait before addressing just how severe and serious the financial repercussions of repetitive strain injury are. And these problems are not solved by glossing over the realities of the situation. In order to solve them, they need to be acknowledged. And I think that's a really big deal, just to acknowledge that they exist. Over the years, the most frequent question I get, besides how do I find a good doctor, is, Dear Ms. Quilter, what job can I do now that I can't use my hands anymore? Your question encapsulates the worst outcomes of repetitive strain injury. Because it's occupational, it affects your ability to stay employed and find appropriate employment, because most jobs require intensive hand use. And if you try to keep up, you can make your repetitive strain considerably worse. Many people make the mistake of trying to keep up at their jobs, and they can take a moderate case of RSI and turn it into something that's really, really severe. If people understood how much repetitive strain injury affected every single aspect of life, they might make career changes in order to save the use of the hand that they still have. But usually they don't understand the nature of RSI and how it doesn't go away after a certain point and can keep getting worse, even when they're doing all the right things, until they become injured. Most people push through pain and dysfunction until they are literally forced to quit their jobs, or because their hands give out and they get fired because they can't keep up. It's because of the occupational nature of RSI that things are so complicated. Your very livelihood depends on your ability to use your hands normally. And when you cannot, your livelihood is threatened. This can put terror in the pit of anybody's stomach who has to work for a living. One of the most difficult things to explain to other people about repetitive strain injury is the magnitude and reach, how it gets into every aspect of your life, not just at work, but including activities of daily living, such as driving, childcare, household chores, pushing elevator buttons, opening doors, opening jars, just the myriad number of things that it can affect. Uninjured people may think that when you get injured, there must be some cure that would give you normal use of your hands back. But with RSI, this so often isn't the case, because people don't know the subtle symptoms when they had a chance to turn things around in the very beginning, and they couldn't find a doctor to diagnose them. One of the hardest things about repetitive strain injury is not being believed. Sometimes people think you're malingering or trying to cheat the workers' compensation or disability system somehow. This is not the case with the people I've dealt with. And furthermore, the amount of money that you would get from disability is so low that I frankly don't understand how you could live on it. Besides, most of the people I know really want to work and make a contribution to society. Many people are cut down in the prime of their careers, and sometimes college students come and they don't even have a chance to start their career because they got injured when they were in college. So they've spent all that money and time investing in learning a career that they won't be able to use, or will have difficulty finding the accommodation and the employer willing to help them. And getting RSI is not their fault. Common tools like computers, mice, and other input devices, combined with the rate of productivity that is required at your job, is a recipe for repetitive strain injury because the tools are so poorly designed and people are not taught techniques to reduce the chance of injury. Doctors are not well informed about repetitive strain injury or reluctant to deal with repetitive strain injury because they don't want to deal with the workers' compensation system. And even when people are lucky enough to get a prescription for physical therapy, they may receive treatment or exercises that make matters worse because the physical therapist is not well versed in RSI. So some people are able to work at regular jobs with accommodations such as voice technology. Some people are lucky enough to have another person essentially become their hands. It's really hard to stick to your limits when everybody else is working at a pace that you can't keep up with. And from the employer's point of view, they are paying you to do the job that they hired you for. And if you can't produce, they can fire you. This is why, whenever possible, I encourage people to create your own career because then you are in charge of the pacing. And you might have to work longer or odd hours in order to take all the breaks that you need to pace yourself. But it's very protective to be able to stop using your hands when you need to. And aside from the financial incentive and need, work can give purpose and meaning to life. It can get very depressing to feel like you're being sidelined because you can't work. I used to teach a workshop called Creating a New Career, and I was always astonished at the marvelous ideas that people would come up with or the solutions that the other people in the group would suggest to them. I would ask people about the things that they would like to do regardless of their injury. Just think, what is it you would like to do? And many times those ideas were perfectly doable with just a little bit of accommodation. Even though you have an injury, you still have so many other talents and gifts to give to the world. So I encourage you to widen your perspective so you can use those gifts and be the productive citizen you want to be. There are agencies designed to help people with disabilities find employment, but it may require patience and persistence on your part to work with them. And you also have to forgive them because sometimes they will suggest things like computer training for you when not realizing that it was working at a computer that got you injured in the first place. It's really important to have friends who are supportive and understanding when you have RSI. It can also be really helpful to talk to a therapist because they can be a sounding board for you and also give you good advice on dealing with the emotions of RSI. So, Johnny, as much as I would like to give you an easy, straightforward answer for your plan, I can't. But I did want to address your question because it's so important. It reveals the severity of repetitive strain injury and how both the tools we use on a daily basis and the work we do need to be revised in order to protect us all from severe disability. This is a huge question. At the very minimum, people should know the warning signs of RSI, which I have posted on this channel. But even that knowledge will not protect them from a job that requires hours and hours on end of intensive hand use or tools that put the hand in jeopardy. No amount of ergonomics will solve the problem of overuse, poor posture, lack of conditioning, or proper technique. We need to educate the public about repetitive strain injuries so that they are aware of the problem. But even seeking help early has its limits. Physical therapy can be wonderful in turning things around, but the injury can be made worse again when you go back to a job that requires too much hand use, even with the best technique and ergonomic setup. And sometimes I would like to say the re-injury can be worse than the initial injury. People will start out with one little thing, and then before you know it, they've got many diagnoses in different parts of their upper extremity. In future episodes, I will be talking about government programs that specialize in job retraining that may be useful to some people. Meantime, don't give up and keep thinking about what you can do and how you can protect your hands while you continue to work. You've already proven your capability in thinking outside the box. So keep going with that and let me know how it goes. Finally, I would like to say that if anybody out there who's listening to this has created your own career or found a job that is working out for you, please tell us about it. Drop a comment in the comment boxes below and let us know about that. Your idea may help someone else continue to work, and your other experience working may prove a cautionary tale to people who are on the fence about leaving their job to protect the hand use that they still have.